Some of Superman's powers include flying, super strength, ice breath, heat vision, increased senses such as hearing and sight, invincibility against piercing objects, and these powers can be greatly reduced if he comes in contact with kryptonite. Superman has the same anatomical structure as any other Kryptonian, and on the planet Krypton, he would be the same as any ordinary human. However, before the planet's explosion, Jor-El sent Kal-El to Earth, knowing that the Yellow Sun would provide extraordinary abilities, and through this photovoltaic process, the Earth's Yellow Sun would provide an immense fuel source to power Superman above the average human. Superman uses his powers to save the city of Metropolis from danger. Although in the presence of kryptonite, his powers may fade and he becomes almost human. Darkseid is one of the strongest villains in the DC Universe. His powers include super strength, invulnerability, omega beams, and mind control, and he is set on taking over every free will in the known universe. Lex Luthor is a rogue scientist, and he has no physical abilities beyond the average human. However, he does play Superman's brute opposite due to being morally deprived and relying on intellect over strength. He's a threat to society because he uses his genius to benefit himself rather than the public. General Zod was a general of the Kryptonian army. He was banished to the Phantom Zone for his crimes against the people, and he came to Earth to revive the Kryptonian race and exact revenge on Kal-El. He has the powers as those of Superman, but he also possesses a detailed knowledge of military tactics and battle strategy.
Doomsday was created to destroy worlds and is more invulnerable than the regular Kryptonian, has super strength, super speed, incredible leaping ability, and regeneration, which after being killed brings him back to life, resistant to what killed him. He can pierce Kryptonian skin with his sharp bone exterior, and is known for actually bringing down Superman. Superboy is a hybrid human/Kryptonian whose father is Superman and mother is Lex Luthor. Although created to destroy Superman, he becomes Superman's ally and son-like figure. He originally only has telekinesis and super strength, but over time, as his Kryptonian psychology matures, he gains the same powers that Superman has. Supergirl is actually Superman's cousin and was sent to Earth at the same time he was. It was originally a preteen leaving Krypton. However, her pod got knocked off course and she landed in a timeless wasteland only to be saved by grown-up Superman. She, just as Kal, is a Kryptonian who develops the same abilities as him and becomes Supergirl. Martian Manhunter is the last survivor of Mars, and his planet, just as Krypton, was destroyed by famine and war. He worked for Jor-El and came to Earth in order to protect Kal-El. He essentially has the same powers as Superman, but can also become invisible, live for centuries, survive without food or water, and shapeshift. According to Newton's third law of motion, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Therefore, if Superman was to push on the front of the plane with so much force, it would stop the front of the plane, but would also crush the front of the plane.
His lungs. By changing either the pressure or area of his lungs, it can result in a lower temperature and a special ability, ice breath. On Superman's home planet Krypton, the force of gravity was much stronger compared to Earth. Superman inherited traits such as stronger bones and muscle tissue, which allowed him to survive in Krypton's high-gravity environment. With Earth's lower gravity, these genetic traits could explain part of his increased strength as he is able to lift heavier objects on Earth. Krypton orbits Rao, a red supergiant that has provided red sun radiation leading to suppression of enhanced abilities of Kryptonians, and being sent to Earth, Superman has been exposed to the planet's yellow sun, which has enabled Superman to absorb the solar energy. With this energy, Superman is able to display his extraordinary abilities. Superman has a super thin aura that surrounds him at all times. This is why Superman's suit never comes off. Bullets are reflected, not repelled, so this does not explain an electromagnetic field. This can be explained by non-Newtonian fluids, which can be manipulated easily by using slow, small amounts of force. With harsh pushes, however, the fluid becomes resistant to force. According to Newton's third law of motion, Superman would not be able to perform super jumps. When Superman exerts a force in order to jump to the top of a 120-meter building, he would exert a force of over 400,000 newtons in jumping up, bringing an equal force towards the ground. A force of such magnitude in actuality, however, would break through the ground and cause Superman to sink into it. Under Newtonian physics, when an object has reached terminal velocity and has collided with an external object, it is the stop and not the object that kills you. When Lois Lane falls from the Empire State Building, Superman catching her would institute a sudden stop, which would either cut her in half or cause major internal injuries.
How much force would Superman need to exert on the ground in order to reach the top of the 300-meter-high Daily Planet building? Assume that his body stays in contact with the ground for 1 second during his jump, that his mass is 100 kilograms, and that air resistance is negligible. According to the work above, Superman must apply a force of 7,672 newtons on the ground in order to reach the top of the Daily Planet.
If Lois Lane weighs 55 kilograms and was to get pushed from the Empire State Building by Pumpkin Man at 381 meters and fall with negligible air resistance all while Superman is 500 meters away from the Empire State Building and starts 2 seconds after Lois Lane starts falling, how fast would Superman have to fly in order to catch Lois Lane at 100 meters off the ground? According to the work above, Superman would have to fly at 89.718 meters per second to catch Lois. Superman has to quickly use his ice breath to stop Doomsday from destroying the city. He has to make his breath reach 100 Kelvin in order to stop Doomsday. What pressure does Superman have to manipulate his lungs to? Assume that the number of moles is 1, the volume of the lungs is 5 liters, and the area of his lungs so happens to be 5 meters squared while exerting a force of 501 newtons. The answer so happens to be 167 pascals.
Superman stops a falling car by slamming into its side and pushing it forward mid-air so that it does not hit anybody below. Draw a FPD of all the forces acting on Superman and the car. Friction is present. Down arrow for MG on both Superman and the car, right arrow on Superman for applied force, right arrow on car for applied force from Superman, left arrow on car from air friction, and left arrow on Superman for friction.
Superman needs to prepare boiling water for his afternoon tea. Using his heat vision, he applies 1500 joules of energy to the water. During the process, 700 joules of work is done on the water. What is the change in internal energy? 2200 joules of energy is added to the water. Does volume, temperature, or pressure increase? Temperature and pressure increase.
Lois Lane is trapped Lois Lane in a layer of fluorite with a glass pane above the fluorite. The glass pane is 2 inches thick with a refraction index of 1.6 and the fluorite is 5 inches thick with a refraction index of 1.4. Superman must use his heat vision to cut Lois Lane from the fluorite. Superman's vision can negate the effects of refraction to accurately see Lois Lane in the fluorite. Draw a diagram of Superman's vision while looking at Lois Lane through the glass and fluorite. What angle of refraction must Superman's vision overcome to accurately see Lois Lane if he's looking at the glass at a 45-degree angle? According to the work above, Superman's vision must overcome a 30.34-degree angle to accurately see Lois Lane.
General Zod has trapped Superman inside an airtight room with a piston that Zod can push to lower the volume inside the room. The room has an area of 10 meters squared and has 1 mole of air at 50 pascals inside the room. How much force would Zod have to apply to increase the pressure of the room to 20 atmosphere? Zod would have to apply a force of 500 newtons.